Well, they say that they are stealing affordable housing. They say that short-term rentals and Airbnbs are the scourge of the housing market. And they also say that, hey, Airbnb owners are being forced to sell their homes in mass quantities. Some have reported thousands and thousands of units are being sold right now from Airbnb owners who have just failed at being Airbnb owners and short-term rental owners. And today on the Housing Nerd, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about Airbnb. And we're also really hitting on the real reason why many Airbnb hosts are panic selling their properties. And today, I also want you to take advantage of the time here with the Housing Nerd, because I am an Airbnb host. And so take your aggression, take your anger out on me. If you have a complaint about Airbnb, voice it here on the Housing Nerd. I'd like to know. In fact, according to a recent Housing Nerd survey, 74% of y'all thought it was impossible to run an Airbnb and still help the community. I wasn't shocked at the results, but I thought the question was interesting. And thank you for those that participated in the survey. So is this true? Do you think this is right? Do you think that it is? Do you think it's possible to run an Airbnb and still help the community? We're going to talk about that today. And stay tuned to the end, because I'm going to cover a couple things about Airbnb that will completely shock you, and really some stats and concepts that you may be completely missing, especially if you hate Airbnb. This is definitely for you. This video is for you. Again, as an Airbnb owner, not someone on the sidelines armchair quarterbacking Airbnb, I'm actually in the trenches. I'm an active host. And yeah, I'm going to pull back the covers today and show you what's going on. So let's talk about, well, first, I always forget this. Welcome this morning. I hope you're doing well. My name is Jason Ferrier. I am the Housing Nerd. I'm a local realtor and investor in Central Ohio. I've been doing it for 7 years. And so I split my time between being a realtor and being an investor, depending on which one's pulling on me more. And then I'm also on YouTube. So that's kind of my life for, feels like 24 hours a day. Let's talk about Airbnb and why they're failing. I've got a few reasons here, and I'm sure you have reasons as well. Number one, they bought the wrong property in the wrong area. Trendy areas are overrun and overpriced. And according to airdna.com, listings jumped 7 million units in 2023, jumped from 7 million units to over 8 million units in 2024. So in 1 year, the number of listings actually grew 1 million units from 23 to 2024. So there's a lot of people that buy Airbnbs in trendy areas, right? They'll buy Airbnbs that are like in Gatlinburg, which I've never been to, but I hear a lot of people had bought Airbnbs in Gatlinburg, or they bought Airbnbs in like Austin or some little trendy area of Dallas or something, right? I think that is a fatal flaw that people make. They think Airbnb and they think, oh, I'll have an excuse to buy a property in a expensive neighborhood probably, and outfit it with all the latest Pottery Barn. And do they still have Pottery Barn? I don't know if they still do. Latest restoration hardware furniture, and, you know, write it all off because it's a business and I'm going to make tons of money. So that's kind of the assumptions they make. However, the trendy area chasing can ruin you with short-term rentals, completely ruin you. There's a far better way to do it, and I'll get to that in a few minutes. Many hosts also ignored short-term bans. We've all heard these rental bans for short-term rentals in areas, all types of areas, not just big cities, but here in Central Ohio, there are bans taking place in small communities. Like there's a an area called Buckeye Lake, which is been referred to as, well, let's just say that it's a little tiny lake outside of Columbus, Ohio, that really is just in the middle of cornfields. And they've banned in some areas of the lake short-term rentals. And I know people who bought houses on the lake, had every intention of short-term renting them, and failed because they put the ban in place and the host couldn't do anything about it. So that's a problem. You got to make sure you understand where the bans are, right? And you also have to have some type of communication with the city or the town to figure out, hey, are you concerned about short-term rentals? If the city council is all up in arms about short-term rentals, then it's probably safe to say that they may put a ban in place. However, if you find a community that needs short-term rentals, because there are communities that need them, nobody ever talks about that. You should, you need to find those because they do exist. So ignoring short-term rental bans is definitely a problem. And there's tons of places that are banning them. I'm curious, are they banning them in your market? Comment below. I'd like to know if they are. And by the way, hey to everybody, how you doing? All right, got my first comment here. Jay, what's up, Jay? I'm Jay too. Combination of Airbnb, FHA delinquencies, business cycle rolling over, not looking very good for the housing market. C-19 policies that Biden put in place. All this is going away. Price discovery. A lot there. Okay, yeah. I mean, there's definitely going to be pain in FHA delinquencies. I imagine you mean COVID-19 policies. Yeah. Those protections were put in place, and now they're going away. Well, they haven't gone away yet. They're supposed to go away in September, but they're supposed to go away. However, if you've read that information on FHA delinquencies, you would see that there's still loopholes in it. You can still get your rent or your mortgage paid for by the government. Don't get it twisted. That isn't necessarily 100% going away. Anyway, that's a different topic. But thank you, Jay, for the comment. Okay, let's get back to Airbnb. They choose fun. Hosts choose fun over function. Decorating for Instagram instead of serving real housing needs. And you're going to see that in a minute when I show you one of my properties. They a lot of hosts will get really excited about decorating their property for Instagram, right? Like, look at the design I did. Like, look at the guest experience I created. But they completely forgot about the money end of the situation. Cash money, right? Cash rules everything around me. That's what they forgot about. Do re mi. They didn't pay attention to that. They wanted the coolest decorating scheme that they found on Pinterest. Wrong strategy. Here's another reason why they're failing. They treated it like a hobby, not a business. The average U.S. Airbnb host earned $14,000 last year in supplemental income in 2023. That's just over, what, $1,000 a month? That's the average. Earned just over $1,000 a month. Keep that in mind. $1,000 a month, $1,100 a month, whatever. That's not that much. Like, I don't know how you're going to make a mortgage payment, a tax payment, an insurance payment, cleaning, turnaround, repairs, paying for your time when you're only earning 14 G's a year. That's not very good. However, there is a way you can make a lot more than that. And you can be successful and treat the community correctly and be a good person at the same time. I'll show you that. Remember, I'm doing it. I'm not just talking about it. I've actually done it, and that's what I'm doing now. That's part of my income is Airbnb. Okay, let's get to some more problems with Airbnb. Costs are up across the board. Another reason they're failing. No kidding, right? Home insurance premiums are insane. Like, insurance costs now have gone parabolic in many areas, unless you buy in the right area. Occupancy rates are also crashing. But let's go back to the cost. Taxes. Real estate taxes now are unhinged. So if your taxes double as a host, now you're putting out a lot more expense. And by the way, through this whole live, I want to know what you think about Airbnb, why you don't like it, why you do like it. Have you thought about buying an Airbnb? Have you thought, nah, I don't want an Airbnb, I'm done. I think they're stupid. I hope they fail. But I want to know, you tell me. Again, take your anger and aggression out on me. I don't mind. I'm an investor. I'm a realtor. I want to hear your plight. So speak up. Yeah, so taxes have gone insane. So you got taxes and insurance increasing. You can't do anything about that as a host, right? Not really. And a lot of hosts, like me, for instance, I'm in a commercial area where like kind of a downtown district. And so my property is considered commercial. Those taxes are a lot higher. My taxes and insurance have gone up, no doubt, probably 25% over the last year, all in. Not a small chunk of change. And not only are you talking about insurance and taxes going up for these hosts, you also have an increase of interest rates. A lot of people have variable rate debt on a commercial loan, or, you know, the typical person I would think that's failing at Airbnb is someone who has their primary home. They have a bunch of equity. They think they're millionaires. And so then they go out and use that equity line of credit on their current primary home to buy an Airbnb. I can see people doing that. That equity line of credit is a variable rate debt probably, and that interest rate is probably approaching 10% now. It probably is. So there's a payment for that. You got to pay for that. It's not free money. And you got to make it cash flow. Again, the average Airbnb host bringing in $14,000 a year, that ain't paying that mortgage. That ain't paying that variable rate debt HELOC. Not happening. That's a loss every year. Now, there are people that probably do Airbnb for a loss, just to have a vacation home maybe, and then they just write off that loss on their taxes. Maybe they do that. But I think majority of them thought they were going to get rich. Oops. Occupancy rates have dropped to 55% between March of 23 and February of 2024, down from over 60% in previous years. Pay attention to the 55%. Pay attention to that 60%. That's not 100%. And there are way too many people that look at Airbnb and go, hey, look, I can rent it for $300 a night. But I'm going to do my pro forma based on renting it every night of the week, every night of the month, every night of the year. 365 times 300. That's a lot of money. Woo! Wrong, wrong, wrong. If you're only full 55% of the time, that means, or 60% of the time, that's a big gap there. And that's average. So you could be below average. You got to prepare for that. And again, I can tell you how you can actually be an Airbnb host and be full 80 to 90% of the time, every month. Like clockwork. Most hosts never run a full pro forma that's honest. Most are hobbyists. They're not a business person. They're not treating it like a business. They're treating it like a hobby. If you treat it like a hobby, expect that result. You just got to expect that result. Real pro formas are based on math. Math matters. Hobbyists wing it. And then they panic when expenses spike. I see it all the time. People think I'm going to make a ton of money. They've never looked at the fact, can they rent it as a full-time rental, like remove all the furniture, rent it as a real rental, long-term rental, and make money at it. If you can't do that, and if you can't make money selling the property, in other words, multiple exit strategies. And that's not just for Airbnb, that's any rental property. You got to have multiple exit strategies. Then you are doomed to fail. The other reason, they didn't buy a deal. They bought a dream. Again, they didn't look at it as a business. You have to, when you make money in real estate, you make it when you buy, not when you sell, not when you rent. If you don't buy that property right, you're not going to cash flow. I hear stories. I mean, I talk to people, see it on, see it on social media, see it on YouTube. I watched a video a few days ago from Travis at Real Estate Mindset. He highlighted this Airbnb calamity and massive flood of houses. By the way, his data, like there's things about that data that are incorrect, but it is neither here nor there. There's a lot of panic selling going on because the people he highlighted on his video, plain as day, they bought a dream. They didn't really buy a property to make real income with. They bought a dream, not a deal. You got to buy correctly. That's where you make money, folks. All right, so that's the pain that we're running into with Airbnb. It's definitely massive. Are you going to see a lot more homes listed from Airbnb? From Airbnb sellers? Probably. You probably will. It's important to know, though, and I have to say this. I like Travis at Real Estate Mindset. I like what he does. I like his videos. There's a little too much hopium with his crash predictions, though. Specifically with AirDNA. AirDNA lists every property on the market that for sale. They're not just listing Airbnb properties for sale. So don't get it twisted. It's not like they're going, hey, all these properties that are listed for sale on their site are Airbnbs. How do I know that? Because I've called them and I asked. Like they're listed on the MLS. They're listed on AirDNA. I call the MLS listing and ask, hey, is this a short-term rental? No, it's not a short-term rental. I've got like an elderly couple living there right now. Oh, because AirDNA is picking up all the listings. They're picking up all the MLS listings and they're just using it as like another Zillow site. So it's not tens and tens of thousands of Airbnb owners in Dallas selling their properties. That's not the case. All you gotta do is pick up the phone and call a few of those listings. You'll figure that out. Anyway, I digress. So look, let's talk about what's really going on with Airbnb though, because there's a few things here that'll surprise you. This is my unit. This is one of my units inside of it. Now you tell me if this is trendy or not. You tell me if this is, where's my coffee? I can't find it. You tell me if this is like glitz and glamour, or is it functional? Looks functional to me. This is a perfect example of how you can win with Airbnb. And I don't mean just win like barely win. I mean like, man, crush it. Because, and still be good to the community, by the way. So this particular property is in a building I own and I've got 4 units in the building, 4 units, 4 apartments. They're all designed basically the same way. And they are geared to utility, what I call utilitarian function, not trendiness. So rule number 1 with Airbnb, the housing nerd rule number 1, focus on serving the community with a real housing need. So my niche are short-term, well, I'll say medium-term rentals, 28 days or longer, fully furnished, all utilities paid, not 1 to 3 day stays. 1 to 3 month stays is what I want. And because of that, I'm hardly ever empty. And if I'm empty, it's like for 10 days at a time. I mean, I turned away 5 people yesterday on my listings in one day. 5 people were like, I was like, sorry, I don't have any units. I'm booked all the way through August. A couple of units, I'm booked way out beyond that. Because I focus on function, not fun. I also invest in small towns, not trendy towns. I'm not going for a guest experience by a beach. I'm going for someone who needs a place to stay that's comfortable, safe, and affordable. That's the key, affordable. So for instance, this unit here rents approximately for $1,400, $1,300 to $1,400 a month, but it's rented per day on Airbnb. So because of that, I'm able to pop up on the map showing that I'm only charging $40-some a day versus the other hosts in the city that are charging $200-300 a night or $150 a night, whatever, and they scratch their heads and wonder why they're not full. Well, they're not full because they're charging $150 a night, and the people that I service are short-term guests that need a month at a time. They're not going to pay $150 a night in a small town in Ohio. They will pay $48 a night, though, and that's where I come in. And this opportunity, folks, exists in every market, but people walk away from it because it's not Instagram worthy, I guess. Let me see if I can show you another picture. I mean, look at my bathroom. Like the building was built in the 40s. Is this all blinged out? No, it's all renovated. It's all nice and, you know, clean. I had everything done. Did a lot of the work myself. But it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. I mean, you can see the walls, a lot of the walls are still plaster. Some are drywall, a lot are still plaster, right? Here's the layout. That's the layout of the building or the unit. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 1 bedroom, 1 bath. And they're all like flat style apartments. Yep. That's how I do it because I want to serve the community. Remember, let's go back to this tab for those that this screen for those that are just joining us. 74% of y'all said you can't run an Airbnb and help the community at the same time. Hogwash. That's completely incorrect. You can absolutely do that. Not everybody does with Airbnb, and those are the people that lose and lose big time. But there is a way to do it, and that's what I'm doing. It's again, it's not rocket science. It's let me see. Let me go back to, like, there's the bedroom, right? Did I buy most things on Amazon? Yep, I did. Or secondhand stores, like secondhand furniture stores. I did that. Yep. I mean, I didn't go to Pottery Barn. I didn't go to Restoration Hardware. You know, it's just that's not what I wanted to go for. And again, my niche. So far, the folks that have come through my units who have stayed for sometimes 6 months, sometimes 6 months, sometimes a month, sometimes 2 months. Nurses, a lot of traveling nurses. There's a small hospital in the town that this is in, and that is a great way to service the community. These nurses have nowhere to live. They don't want to stay in a hotel room for 3 months. Who would? So they're like, well, I want to stay in like a real apartment. All right, that's where I come in. The other one would be contractors. I've got contractors working. A couple of them have worked at the new Intel facility. They're building the new Intel Gigafactory. They need a place to stay. Perfect. I have some students, some interns at Ohio State, and some medical students from Ohio State, all the way in Columbus, and they're staying at my unit. I've had basketball. I've had a basketball coach stay in my unit from the local college in the small town. There's a little tiny community, not community college, but I guess it's community college, and they have a basketball team. There's a coach that for the season that comes in and doesn't have a place to stay and stays in my unit. I've had a manager of a retail company, like they sell farm equipment. And he's a district manager and he's moving from another part of the country, has a new job covering rural Ohio, doesn't have a place to stay, stays with me. That is the niche, folks. If you want to make money on Airbnb, or if you hate Airbnb, you need to pause for a second and really realize the purpose and the opportunity that Airbnb presents. Because everybody else is over here trying to make $300 and $400 a night in Austin, Texas. Nah, that's not the way it works. You come over this way and charge $40 a night and give somebody a nice, comfortable, clean place to live while you make money and your community is happier. So that is my unit. Let me show you something else here. So this is my unit on Airbnb. You can kind of see it. Obviously, I just showed you all this. I don't know if there's really anything else to show you on here. There's my little advertisement. Nothing special. Literally nothing special. You just got to run it right. I hate that I have a 4.5-star review. But I'll tell you what, being an Airbnb host, you really have to take care of your guests. There's no doubt. All right. Let me look here. I'll tell you some other things about what's going on with Airbnb. All right. So you want some facts. I'll give you some facts. I found the building at a great price. I did not find this building by using the MLS. I found it by driving for dollars. I talk about this all the time on my channel, driving for dollars, writing letters to owners and asking if I can talk to them about buying their building. So that's how I found this building. And I found it at an off-market price. That helps a lot. And so when I did that and then put the Airbnb into action, my total income on the building is roughly $4,800 a month. That's my total income. Like I said, I'm like 90% full. In some units, probably higher. So total gross income, $4,800. Total expenses with my mortgage and the line of credit I have for repairs, roughly $2,000 a month. That's rough, $2,000 a month. So my cash flow, depending on the month, is anywhere from $2,000 to $2,800. And I do that with no crazy nightly rate, no tourist traffic needed, serving a real need for the community. And that is my biggest, I would say, if you really want to get into Airbnb. Now, if you just hate Airbnb, I hope you know, or hope you realize today from this video that, hey, there are ways that Airbnb helps, not just hurts. Not all of us are evil. We just want to provide a clean, good spot for somebody to live. The people that do it wrong will sell their properties. They will sell their properties. The people that do it wrong. But there are a lot of people that do it right. There are. And I'm one of them. I'm one of them. All right, let's see what else you have to say. Hey, thanks. Dan Deem. Beautiful. Thank you. Don't lie. Airbnb owners are vampires. I'm a vampire, Sitting Bull? Come on, man. Come on. But that's why I asked you to come on. Take out your pain. Take out your anger. I mean, there are tenants that are vampires too. There are guests that are vampires. And there are landlords that are vampires. And realtors that are vampires. And lawyers and doctors and car mechanics and dentists and financial wizards and presidents and congressmen, congresswomen. There's a lot of vampires out there, but you can still be successful. What about insurance? Is it sustainable? It is sustainable, Dan. You just have to plan on it correctly. That's why I don't overestimate my rental rates. I don't gouge anybody on the rental rate. But I know that I can make the insurance payment if I need to. I'm not stupid enough to assume I'm going to be able to, make $300 a night in rent, be a millionaire from it. That's not the purpose of this. It's really not. The first goal, in my eyes, of being an Airbnb host is taking care of the guest. That's my first goal, and insurance comes with that. You got to have insurance. It's not cheap, but you just got to plan that in. So if insurance went up another $100 a month for me, it would stink, but I could still cash flow pretty well. Anyway. $40 a night. What about housekeeping? Great question. This is the key. This is the key that a lot of hosts miss. Because I do 28 days at a time, and I don't do 4 days at a time. I mean, I have a cleaning service that charges like $150 to turn the unit over. If I was doing 3 days at a time, no way it would cash flow. And that's where a lot of hosts get into trouble. But if I'm doing 28 days at a time, then that significantly helps, because then I'm only paying $150 for that 28 days, but I've made, $1,200, $1,300 in that month, so I can afford the $150 cleaning fee. That's why it works for me. By the way, renting on a monthly basis or near a monthly basis keeps out the squalor. You're not going to have somebody coming to a small town in Ohio to throw a big raging party for 28 days. They're going to do it for 3 days or 2 days or 1 day. They're going to have fun and leave. And it's amazing to me how many hosts walk past this opportunity and go for the $200 a night, thinking that they're going to be rich. Then they scratch their heads and wonder, how in the world why am I not making money at this? Then they sell their properties to maybe you or somebody on this channel, or some buyer, another investor or whatever. But yeah, that's where that $40 a night, people scratch their head and go, how do you do that? 28 days at a time. Now that removes a lot of your tenant class, meaning our tenant pool, like there aren't going to be a lot of people then coming. The pool of possible guests, is a lot smaller with a 28-day rental than it would be at a 3-day rental. But if they want to rent for 3 days, I'm not their host. That's not where I play. So they just don't rent for me. But I mean, right now I'm actively looking for other units like this that I can turn into midterm rentals, because this is by far the most profitable building I have. Not even close. It supersedes any other rental I have. So I'm trying to do more of these because I don't see it slowing down. People need great furnished, all-in rentals that they can use to just stay in when they're working, not when they're partying. I don't care about that stuff. Any other questions? Nobody else has any other complaints about Airbnb I can address besides just saying that I'm a vampire? Like, I mean, real, like, tell me, like, why? Like, why do you hate Airbnb so bad? Because there's a few bad actors out there. And I'd really like to hear from somebody who wants to or is interested in doing Airbnb or has questions about it. You can call me. My number's in the description below. You can email me. I answer emails. Join one of my lives and ask me about Airbnbs, whatever. Or maybe you've been successful being a trendy host. I'd like to know that too. Yeah, it's let me show you another one here. Let me show you another one. Let's see. Here's another one of my units. Very similar in style, right? Very similar in style. It's got these cool windows from the 40s. Like, that's pretty neat. Kind of like a, little bit of a flair there. Again, very similar bathroom. Nothing extraordinary there. I've got a little carport out back for the people to park, right? That works too. By the way, the city likes me. The community in the city, from what I've talked to, they actually are happy that I'm servicing the community. I've got a grant from the city to improve the back area and put in like garage doors and all that other jazz to, make it a completely secured enclosed parking spot for guests. And I got a grant from the city to do that. So I'm happy about that. I think that shows that the town, is thankful. Again, nothing glamorous. I mean, well, that's a dumb picture. I don't know why I have that in there. It doesn't show anything. There's the kitchen area, right? I mean, you could see like these cabinets were metal cabinets. They are metal, not were. They are metal cabinets. Yeah, back in the 40s, they had metal cabinets. They still have them here in great shape. So I just painted them. I didn't tear them out, just painted them. This tile back here was original. I just painted it. That's an easy way to like spruce up the spot. Look at the little stove. This little stove is tiny, like it's that big, but it works. I got a sink, obviously you need a sink, some tables and chairs in the kitchen, new appliances, right? Some counter space here. Perfect for one person traveling, maybe two, that needs a spot to stay in. It's got radiant heat, so it's got a boiler system. But make no mistake, this isn't easy to do. It's not like it's just runs itself. I spend a lot of time in this building. I manage this building myself. I spend a lot of time here dealing with things like I had the whole electrical system upgraded at one point. Okay, had to upgrade the electrical system. That wasn't cheap. I mean, it was over $15,000. I had to. What did I just do? I had to replace a pump, a circulator pump, on the boiler system. I did that myself. Wasn't hard, but that was $600 for the part plus like a half a day of my time. And then what else did I just get done? Can't even remember. Oh, I put electric in the garage. I had to do that to get the garage doors installed. That was another few $1,000. Had to have gutter work done this spring. So I'm going to have landscaping done coming up in the next couple of weeks. So it's not like it's easy and it's not free, but to do it, it does take time, but it can be done. And it can be done responsibly, and it can be done in a profitable way. So obviously I chuckle and laugh when I see Airbnb doom, like Airbnb hosts are ruined. The whole platform is going to shut down. I don't know. Hopefully not, because I'm doing well, and I hope they continue. Look at this. Hosts in the U.S. earned $22 billion in supplemental income last year. The typical host in the U.S. earned approximately $14,000 in supplemental income in 2022. 62% of hosts say they plan on using the money they earn on Airbnb to cover heightened cost of living over the next 12 months. They're not even making like profit. And you can't make profit at $14,000 a year. You can't. Unless it's like a room in your home. If it's a room in your home, so you're just renting out like a room that's in an existing house you live in, absolutely you can do that. But anyway, that's my story with Airbnb. I'm curious to hear what you thought. One concern people have is about local laws around short-term rentals. Do you have any insights on that? I do. Great question, Jasmine. I got to run here in a couple minutes. Yeah, you just have to work with the city. You got to you have to dive into what other people won't do. Go talk to locals. Go look at neighborhood Facebook pages. You can see the flavor of Airbnb there. You can actually search like in community forums for Airbnb short-term rental, and you'll get to understand if the community likes it or doesn't. Then talk to the city council, talk to the folks that make the decisions of the area, and understand if they're thinking about banning Airbnbs or short-term rentals. Then you can get an idea, do they want them or not? If you hear that they're upset about them or they're trying to do something about it, that's probably an area you don't want to invest in short-term rentals. I really don't have an opinion either way on Airbnb bans. I think that there's some communities that don't want them and they can vote that way and not have them. But I think that it's also short-sighted if they're sweeping bans that are not, and they're not thinking about the consequences. There's probably a lot of landlords that have been in communities for a long time, way before Airbnb, that are short-term hosts, that are mom and pop hosts, that now have no business because it was banned in their city. So I think the bans are going to happen. I would just go to areas that aren't looking to ban Airbnbs, and then I would also make sure your property cash flows as a long-term rental, or you can sell the property and make money. So you have to have multiple exit strategies. Don't just use Airbnb. And if you buy a property only because it will cash flow as Airbnb, you will definitely lose. Definitely lose, because you could easily get it banned in your city or my kid used to say on when he was online gaming, banded, right? He's like, I got banded, Dad. I just thought that was always funny, banded. But yeah, you can get banned from like an Airbnb or a city. It can happen after you buy. You just got to have multiple exit strategies. But go in and research the town, talk to some people that run the town. That's why small towns are great, I think, because you can actually communicate with the folks that run the city and get an idea of what's happening, you know. It's not guaranteed, but it's at least it's not you're not going in blind. And I would definitely look at small towns with hospitals or colleges. A small town where there's like a local community college, a local hospital, and the next hospital is like 40 miles away. Then you know nurses are going to be traveling to that city and needing a place to stay. And they don't want to stay in some flea bag motel. And they don't want to drive to Columbus to stay every day. So that helps. If there's any large factories in the city and not a lot of good hotels to stay in, that also helps. But what you don't want is a city like Austin or Gatlinburg or, you know, I don't know, Myrtle Beach, something that's like an easy target. Everybody's doing that. Don't do that. Be different. Be different. Nobody else has any hate on Airbnb, huh? You all like it. Okay, good. I'm glad. Let me go back to this one at the beginning. So Jay's saying, hey, combination of Airbnb, FHA delinquencies, business cycle rolling over, not looking very good for the housing market, COVID-19 policies that Biden put in place, all this is going away, price discovery. Yeah, we should talk about this. Like, if you're sitting around waiting for Airbnbs to implode in order for you to afford a house, then I think you're maybe being disingenuous to yourself. You should probably move forward anyway and find a house at the right price to meet your needs. If you really want to buy, it is possible. You don't have to look just on the MLS, and you don't have to wait for the market to change to do something. You can still be successful without the market changing for you. I don't know how many Airbnbs are going to come to market. I'd be careful listening to people that say it's going to be tens of thousands next month. Anyway, right. I would be careful. And FHA delinquencies, that's a real thing. I think you will see more inventory from FHA delinquencies, no doubt. FHA, for those that don't know, the government has been paying a lot of delinquent mortgages for FHA and VA borrowers, and that's coming to an end at the end of this year. Well, it's changing at the end of this year, and people won't be able to get as much money for their delinquent mortgages as they are right now, but it's still going to be here. Make no mistake, it'll still be in place. You can still go without making a mortgage payment. I think it's you can do it once every 18 months under the new law or the new rules. Right now, you can do it as many times as you want until you hit 30% of your total loan value. But coming up, it'll only be once out of 18 months, but you can still do it. So that scam and that grift will still continue. Anyway, that's something on FHA delinquency. Let me see if I got anything else here. Hang on one second. Oh, you suck. All right. I think that's all I had today. See if anything else. Anyway, bottom line is there's a way to make money with Airbnb, no doubt about it. There's a way not to be a vampire. There's a way to be a normal person. So all investors aren't bad. Without me, this building that I bought would be in disrepair. And it's definitely wouldn't be servicing the community, that's for sure. It would just be like kind of like a hovel, not a nice place. But I've put a lot of money into it. Without investors, that wouldn't happen. So I think for those that don't like investors, maybe think about the other side of the coin for a second. That some of them are just normal dudes like me, and we just want to help out people and, have a job. I mean, this is really my job. It's not, I'm not a millionaire, and I don't, I'm not like a boss hog with smoking a cigar and rolling in my caddy. That's not what I do. I drive a Subaru, and just a normal guy living in Ohio. Meet just like everybody else, and this is the profession I chose. Anyway, hey, I hope you have a great day. I hope you learned something about Airbnb that you didn't know, that maybe there's a way to do it and still service the community. Hope you have a great day. Like, subscribe, comment, share the video. I'm going to do an actual video at my Airbnb to show you what it's like there at the property and some upgrades I've done. That'll be coming out here in a week, maybe 2 weeks. And make it a great day. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next Housing Nerd video. I'm out.